All right, in this video, we are going to have two different things, kind of somewhat not all that related, but we're going to convert between angle measures. There's a couple ways to measure angles. You're used to degrees, but there's another one called radian or radians. And then we're also going to do angles in standard position. So I guess it's really about angles, but kind of two separate objectives. Okay, so if you have a board, right, if you're doing a woodworking project or something, you could measure that board in both inches or centimeters, right? They both measure length. So similarly, in math class, you can measure an angle. You're used to doing degrees, but there's also another type of measurement called radians. Okay, and so basically, how it works is it's related to like a circle, and so like the idea is that um, pi radians, so basically about 3 radians, is about 180 degrees. Okay, and so if you go all the way around the circle, 360 degrees is actually just 2 pi or about 6 radians. Okay, so like roughly speaking, 1 radian is equivalent to about 60 degrees if we divide this by 3. Okay, the actual number I want to say is like 57 degrees or something like that. But basically, to convert between them, we're just going to use this fact that pi radians is like 180 degrees. And radians come from this idea of a circle. Um, yeah, and so I think basically, like all the way around the circle is like in radii, like 2 pi r is the circumference. So I think that's where the radians come from, is like it has to do with like taking r and using it to find the circumference. I think that's kind of where the idea comes from. Like radians is like about the radius, sort of. So anyways, pi radians is 180 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance to just try one if you want, but basically 180 degrees is pi radians, so we can just make a proportion for however many degrees or radians we have and then convert to the other one. Okay, so if you feel confident, you can certainly try these two questions, or just watch the first one, then try the second one on your own. Okay, so the first one here, 180 degrees is pi radians. Okay, so we have 210 degrees, and we want to know how many radians that is. Okay, so basically it's going to be a little bit more than 3, right? If 180 is about 3, then this is going to be a little more than 3. And so the idea is, the way I solve these is just do cross product. So I do 180 times x equals 210 times pi. And then to solve it for x, the radians, divide by 180 on both sides. All right, and so x is equal to 210 times pi divided by 180. And usually radians are given in terms of pi. So instead of doing the decimal value on your calculator, all we're going to do is reduce this fraction. So we're going to keep the pi in our answer and then just reduce 210 over 80. I think those are both divisible by 30. I think that would give us 7/6. Okay, so this basically reduces to 7/6 pi. So 210 degrees in radians is 7/6 times pi radians. Okay, so maybe try the second one then on your own, right? If we have 27 degrees, and just do it in terms of pi like we've got there. Okay, so it's the same setup, 180 over pi. That ratio has to be the same as our ratio of 27 degrees, right? We got degrees on top to x radians. So now I'm going to do my cross products. So 27 times pi is equal to 180 times x. And then we're going to divide both sides by 180 to get x alone. Okay, so sorry I ran out of space here, but x is going to be 27 over 180 pi. And now we've got to reduce this again. And so I know they're both divisible by 3, but they're also both divisible by 9. So I'm going to say that that's 9. No, divided by 9, that would be 3/20 times pi. And I think that's the farthest it reduces. There's nothing else that divides 3 and 20. So in radians, it's 3 over 20 times pi radians. Okay. Yeah, that one's not all that different. Let's try one going the other way. So now we've got a measure in radians and we have to convert it to degrees. All right. So pause the video and see if you can do that conversion. Okay, so it's the same setup. 180 degrees is pi radians, but this time we know the radians is pi over 3, but we don't know the degrees x. Okay, so same thing. We're going to do cross products. We just got a goofy fraction here, but that should be okay. So we've got pi times x, and then in the other one we've got 180 times pi over 3. And I wrote it as a fraction here, 180 over 1, because now when I multiply, basically, let's clean up this right-hand side. So that'd be like 180 times pi, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators to get 3. And then pi times x, 180 divided by 3 is just 60. So we have 60x. Okay, and then basically the pi's will cancel out. So if you divide both sides by pi, we just get 60. So pi over 3 radians is 60 degrees. Right, and this is almost like 1 radian, right? Pi is like 3, so this is almost like 3 over 3. So kind of like 1 radian's about 60 degrees. All right, I'll do one more converting example here. Feel free to skip it if you feel like you got it, but let's do, maybe pause the video, right? If you do want to try it on your own and then see if you can get the same thing as I do. It's mostly just being able to handle the fraction math. Okay, so I'm going to start the same way. 180 degrees is pi radians. And then I'm going to do x degrees and then 3 pi over 2 radians. Okay, now I'm going to go cross products. So I have pi times x equals 180 times 3 pi over 2. And again, I'm going to write it over 1 because then I'm going to multiply those fractions. So this side would become 540, I think, pi over 2. And then 540 divided by 2, I think is 270. I think so. And then the pi's just cancel out, so you get 270 degrees. So this thing in radians is 270 degrees. And radians are usually given in terms of pi like this. So you don't really have to do any multiplying with decimal or like 3.14 for pi or anything. Just leave it in terms of pi. Okay, I think I'll make a second video for part 2. Thanks for watching.